The Running Raiders are back Friday morning. Maybe the coldest day of this year for sure. It's freezing out there. TJ, Aden Hawes to my right. And our special guest today is Carter Pruitt, athletic trainer for men's football, obviously men's football, beach volleyball, and just all-around warrior for the Southern Oregon University athletic department. So Carter, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here.
The more that I've heard about you and learned about you, the more exciting things that I found.
Yeah.
We were talking this morning. Did you know all this? You grew up in Central Illinois?
I think I'd heard about it just because you sort of have a connection to Zozel somehow, like through a school or something, right?
Yeah. So I grew up in Jacksonville, Illinois, which is where McMurray College is. So the high school I went to is right across the street, kind of share a campus with McMurray. So Zozel and I kind of put that together one day, and he's recruited and got a couple kids there to McMurray in that 1 year that he was there that I played with in high school. So we had a few more ties than what we thought when he came in.
Nice.
Carter, how's the morning going?
It's good. Football got after it this morning. We've already had 3 groups in and out of the weight room.
Yeah, dang.
So we're, new coaching staff is being put together in the process, but the weight room stuff is full blown and we're rolling.
So you're in there for every weight training session?
For the most part, yeah. We try to kind of be around a little before, a little after. Those 6:30 in the mornings are a little early to get there before, so we time those guys with the after group. But yeah, Dan Desmond, he's an athletic trainer and he does the strength and conditioning for football, is in there with them. And as our coaching staff grows, they'll start being in there a little bit more, and we can kind of get those guys going on the field too.
Yeah. How many positions are they still hiring for the staff?
I believe there's still 3 full-time positions that they're still working on filling.
Okay.
And then some part-time positions as well.
Yeah, Nehemiah was talking about the offensive coordinator is still kind of up in the air in a little bit. But the D coordinator is filled, correct?
I believe so. I know Coach Burke is here today. He's kind of still finishing up his last job and back and forth a little bit. So I know he had some more interviews yesterday trying to fill those positions.
Okay. So do you have a lot of communication with him directly, Coach Burke Brown?
Yeah. So obviously this is, technically he doesn't start till Monday, I think. But once we get rolling, especially when we're in season, him and I are talking a couple times a day usually.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on our practice schedule, we're giving injury updates, reports to the staff in the morning for who can practice, who can't, post-practice stuff if people are getting injured, follow-up and modifications, anything like that we need. So we communicate quite a bit with the coaching staff.
Yeah. Give me a quick rundown of the last few positions that you've had. I know you've kind of had a quick career progression here to SOU. Where were you before here?
So before here, I was at San Jose State there as an associate athletic trainer working with women's basketball and men's golf were my primary sports. Did a lot of football help as people were in and out, filling positions. Did a lot of helping with, what do we do? Swim and dive, water polo, gymnastics, just kind of filling in where it was needed. But my primary was with women's basketball and men's golf there. And then prior to that, I was at Arizona State for 3 years, did my master's there as a graduate assistant for 1.5 years, and then 1.5 years as a staff member. And there I worked with primarily wrestling. So we had about 50 on the roster there. So it was a pretty good handful for those guys. And they train pretty much year round, whether it's NCAA wrestling and straight into USA wrestling. We had a lot of members on the U.S. national team, U.S. world team, junior world team, stuff like that. So those guys were training year round.
And is that so the national stuff, is that like in the spring and summer? Is that how that works?
Yeah. So usually, their timeline for the season is pretty similar to basketball. They finish up in March, usually get a week or 2 off, and then the freestyle, as they call it, USA Wrestling stuff picked up there. And it kind of rolled really till, the World Championships were in August, September.
Dang.
So some of those kids, we had a couple that were national champions, junior world silver medalists and stuff. And those kids were they were training year round.
Wrestling's so
just
intense.
Never stopped. Just on the grind, 24/7, 365.
Jeez.
You said you had 50 wrestlers to look out for?
Yeah.
Is that normal? Is that like
So
an
we have
average
about
size?
50 here on the men's team, and I want to say around 40, 45 on our women's team here too.
Wow.
There's a lot.
There's a lot more, yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, only 10 compete, 12 when you get to the national tournament. So
the other guys are just training pretty much.
Training, and they'll switch them in and out. There's tournaments that they call opens. At that point, you can send as many people as you want. So you can send your whole roster. They fit on the bus.
Dang, yeah. So there's 10
Wow.
weight classes?
10 weight classes, yeah. From
Okay.
125 pounds up to 285 pounds.
Dang.
Everywhere in
Jeez.
between.
And ASU has like a pretty crazy good wrestling program, don't
Yeah,
they?
last year I want to say they finished third at the national tournament. When I was there, it was Zeke Jones's first year, and he had been the U.S. Olympic coach before that. So our first year we finished like 44th at nationals, and the second year I think we finished 10th.
Oh, geez, that's
He
quick.
brought in the number one recruiting class in the country. Brought in a couple kids that ended up being, I think, 5 All-Americans in that group. So he flipped things around there pretty quick.
What do you think made that place such a commodity as far as people wanting to go there and wrestle? You don't think of Arizona State as a wrestling school, but
yeah, I mean, wrestling's so heavy in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Your recruiting pitch is you can leave practice and go sit at the pool when you're in season. When you're weight cutting and miserable, you don't have to bundle up and walk home in a blizzard. You can go sit at the pool and, the sunshine, do all that kind of stuff. And the coaching staff there, he had wrestled there, won a national championship there. So he had kind of gotten a lot of the alumni and stuff involved. And they have a pretty good history for wrestling. Nothing like your Penn States, your Iowa States, your Iowa, but they've seemed to got things going there.
Yeah. Do you, as the trainer, are you responsible for monitoring the weight cut stuff, the hydration stuff?
So when I was there, I did a lot. I mean, Coach Jones, obviously coming from the U.S. Olympic Training Center, you've got a lot of resources. So him and I kind of put together some stuff where every kid had an individualized plan. We were weight checking them and hydration checking them every week from the moment they got on campus in August or July till the season to make sure they're cutting weight responsibly, safely, and doing it without just cutting water. The last thing you want to do is cut water until literally the day of.
Yeah.
So making sure kids are kind of doing that throughout the 2 to 3 months leading up to the season.
And have they gotten better at doing that? I know in the past, like when I was in high school, they would do crazy stuff to get down to weight.
Yeah, so there's a lot more restrictions. Like the sauna suits, the saunas, stuff like that aren't allowed anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps. And I actually did my grad project on weight cutting and prevalence with injuries, which come to find out 75% of our injuries my first 2 years at Arizona State were from kids that were cutting more than 10% of their body weight from when they came in.
What a great study.
So it was one that, I mean, you would assume, right?
Right.
You make your hypotheses and stuff, and the numbers showed.
So were there a lot of previous studies for that, or were you on the front edge of that?
There had been a few. There's like an international wrestling journal type of thing that I kind of gotten the idea from, but nothing too in depth. And it's, you got to do a project, and my master's was in education, so it's kind of wide open, whatever you wanted to do within higher education. So jumped into that, and we already do all of our documentation stuff through medical records electronically, so it's easy to pull that data, track that data as we go. But yeah, it was shocking to see, and I think the coaches utilized some of that information of 10% of your body weight. That's a lot,
Yeah, that's a lot.
You were 200 pounds,
yeah.
like that's saying you got to cut 20 pounds over a 3-month span, and then not only do that, but then you got to maintain it for a 5-month season. Like that's a lot. That's taxing on the body.
Yeah. So you've seen progress then with that, fewer injuries, and
it has. There's been some progress, and I think it's going in the right direction. I think it's kind of become more of a trend in all sports,
Mhm.
of sometimes less is more, and it's
yeah,
a lot of people, they have FOMO, the fear of missing out when you're training, but sometimes it's taking that recovery day, or just for basketball instance, just shooting, whatever it may be, getting the body moving instead of getting up and down the floor,
yeah.
being ready for your game day.
So are the wrestlers now competing at higher weights, or are they just finding better or healthier ways to cut weight?
I think it's kind of a mixture. And a lot of it comes down to coaching. Some people want kids at specific weights because that's what they recruited them for.
Mm-hmm.
Some are willing to let them go up a little bit. So just kind of finding that happy medium between the two.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite program to work with? I mean, you said you worked with wrestling, basketball, golf. Like, what's been the most enjoyable for you?
Ooh, I don't know. Sitting on a golf course is kind of nice.
Yeah, I was gonna
I'm not
say.
gonna lie. No, I've enjoyed all of them. I do like the more physical combat kind of sports, football, wrestling. Enjoyed. Honestly, basketball is more physical than people think too. When you're in it and a part of it. But I like the sports where there's more going on. More traffic in the athletic training room. Keeping busy. They're all, they all have their pluses and minuses. They're all a grind. I mean, people don't realize how much collegiate athletes go through. I think people, they just assume that they're getting their scholarships and whatever it may be, but the day in, the day out grind, there's a reason only so many people do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I enjoy just overall working in the collegiate setting is, it's only a small percentage of the people that even make it to any level of collegiate sports, and you got to be dedicated to do it. So it shows, that the kids care and they want to do it.
Yeah. And how does this level compare to being at the, high major level that you're at previously?
They're not that different, but then they are at the same time. The summers are kind of the big one. At the Division I levels, when you're on that full ride scholarship, they can keep you there all summer and you're training all summer. And here the kids get more of a break and winter break. When I was working wrestling, we would get like maybe 48 hours for Christmas break.
Jeez.
I mean, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then boom, you're back at it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the quality, obviously, you can see some differences, but there's talent at this level. I mean, there's kids that could be at that level that are playing at Southern Oregon right now. So it's not that far off. People look at Division I, Division II, Division III, and NAIA. It's like, where does that fit in there, right? And it's some NAIA schools that fit closer to the D3 range. I think here at Southern Oregon, across the board, we fit more in that D2 range.
Mm-hmm.
From a competitive side of things.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think some of it has to do with, I don't know if it's the demographics, but just the populations of the area. Like when I was in Illinois, I was blown away by how many schools there were, right? Like there's just, I mean, I don't know the number, but in Illinois, there's got to be 50 Division I schools, right? Like something in that area. And in Oregon, what is there, 5? How many Division I schools do we have?
2 in Portland, Oregon State. I think that's it in Oregon.
Is that it? Just the 4?
Ones, yeah.
Yeah, and all just the amounts of colleges. So it's like you have to have some place to go, right? So a lot of times we're getting like the D2 level athletes, where in the Midwest, it's just different.
Yeah, I mean, every cardinal direction has a Division I school in Illinois.
Yeah,
I mean, for the most part, Southern has 2. Western, Eastern, Northern, and your state schools.
There's a Western Illinois that's D1?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're in, I think, Macomb. But yeah, I mean, and then that doesn't even touch Chicago schools. And just even at the smaller level, like when I was at Milliken playing football, we complained having to go to Carthage. Like that's a 4-hour bus ride. That's not like,
right.
And you're sitting here now at SOU and you're like, man, 4 hours, that'd be amazing.
Right? We'll be back by midnight.
We got plenty of time, And I mean, football here, our shortest trip is 8 hours to LeGrand.
Wow, that's the closest
That's
one.
the closest
Yeah,
school.
you guys are
I mean,
crazy.
Simpson's adding football, so we're hoping they'll jump into the conference. It's not for sure yet, but it's like, man, looking back, we used to complain about sitting on the bus, having to drive across Illinois for a couple hours, and it's like that would be incredible now to only have a 2-hour, 3-hour, 4-hour ride at the most.
Yeah. What's your favorite place to live out of all those that you've been to?
Ooh, I really like being here in Southern Oregon. You know, you get a little bit of
Yeah.
everything. I do like the cold, but not too much. We get our summers, you know, we got the scenic stuff. I love Phoenix, to be honest. Once you adapt to the heat, driving my 99 Pontiac Grand Prix with no air conditioning for 3 years makes you adapt a lot quicker.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, in San Jose, you know, it has its pluses and minuses. You're close to the beach, you're close to the city, you know, there's pro sports everywhere, but you're dealing with traffic and overpopulation and cost of living. So, but I think definitely the Southern Oregon area has been our favorite that I've lived in.
Yeah, nice. You kind of hit it all. You've had the desert, the mountains, the cold, the warm, the beach. So you've gotten a good experience.
Yeah. Carlotta and I met in Arizona. We just kind of keep working our way up the West Coast. I think we'll stop here for quite a while, but just kind of moving up San Jose and just through California and Oregon. So
yeah. Just to make sure we have that clear, you're married to Carlotta
Yes.
Kloppenberg Pruitt, the women's basketball coach here,
yes,
and you're a fairly new father.
yes.
How's that been treating you?
It's been great. Dad life's awesome. It makes you question like what you did before having kids, because you're like, what did we had? You used to think you were busy,
Right.
and then now it's like you have like no idea. Used to watch Netflix and stuff all the time, and now it's like put her to bed, and it's like within 30 minutes, like it's time to go to bed too.
Right.
But we love it. Yeah. This has been the perfect place to kind of start that journey as a family, and adding Carson to the family this year with both of us working here. The whole athletic department's been great. You know, there's kids around all the time in the athletic department.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to grow up with 15 bigger sisters to look up to and 15 bigger brothers. I mean, this
Heck
weekend
yeah.
traveling with her, we went up to Walla Walla and LC. I mean, you turn around and the guys were all playing with her and stuff too. So
Yeah.
it's just cool to see that, you know, for her socially and just growing up around, you know, around the sports world.
She's so great. I mean, I'm sure she's a lot of work because they all are. But as far as her demeanor on the sideline or on the road trip, she seems to be pretty happy a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, flying to Spokane, we had the layover there and layover back, and I don't know if she fussed much on all 4 flights. So that's a win in our book.
I never heard
Yeah,
her.
I didn't hear it all.
And then you know, you got the 6 hours in the van, 7 hours, whatever it was between all the spots, and she handled it well. She adapts well, and I guess you kind of have to if you're in an athletics family. You know, there's no consistency with schedule when it's basketball season.
So who does she get that temperament from? Mom or dad?
Mom, I think mom. Mom grew up same lifestyle,
Yeah.
in the gym all the time and stuff. So we'll give mom credit on that one.
Yeah, that's the right answer.
Yeah,
Good job.
it is.
Good job. I always screw those answers up. No, it's great. It's fun. Just fun seeing it happen. And it's with how busy you two are, which we've already talked about. I don't know, it's just crazy.
It is. Yeah, it's the schedule through the day, you know, it was chaotic there for a little bit before we could get her into daycare. So it was like mom had her in the morning, would drop her off with Cammie and Mia, and then a couple of the women's basketball players to babysit her for a few hours. And the nice thing is my mornings are where I'm kind of busiest with my schedule, and she's more busy in the afternoon. So we're able to kind of flip-flop that and both get a little time with her. So it's not like we're working all the time. So it's been a good balance.
Yeah, nice. Nice. What are your favorite parts of Ashland?
Ooh, Lithia Park. I don't know if you guys are hikers or anything. There's some good trails back there.
Lithia's great. Yeah, we spend quite a bit of time in there with the boys.
Yeah,
My
it's
wife and the boys.
downtown, just walking around. You know, you can stop at the breweries, you stop at a restaurant, all the little shops. It's definitely cool. We did the Christmas parade. I don't know if you did that this year.
Ashley did it without me. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. We went to that this year, and they did the whole parade, the high school band, and some dancers, and then Santa follows at the end. They flip the lights on, and so that was pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, the smaller town size is what, we kind of enjoy. We live in Medford, but obviously we're in Ashland more than Medford.
Mm-hmm.
Carlotta and I both grew up in smaller towns, 20,000 or so. So it's pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes you feel, a little more at home than a million people in San Jose and the Phoenix area.
Yeah, we do. I think we need to get into something that's really on both Aiden and our minds.
I was about to go to it.
The San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
We're big fans.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your experience working for the 49ers?
Yeah. So when I was in college, a required internship. Needed like 80 hours, whatever it may be for the internship. So I had a connection. One of the head athletic trainer at Eastern Illinois at the time had formerly worked with the head athletic trainer at the 49ers. So she asked me one day, she's like, "Hey, are you interested in an NFL internship over the summer?" I was like, "Absolutely." Like, she's like, "It's not going to be easy." And I'm like, "Okay, like, it's work." I mean, we worked 80, 90 hours a week.
Dang.
It was, I think, a 7-week, 8-week span for the internship. But it was phenomenal. I mean, get everything worked out. They send you what you need and everything. And it's just like socks and underwear. And then if you want street clothes. So I bring his whole suitcase and I'm like, that sounds weird. And then you show up and like, they give you clothes. You're wearing their stuff the whole time. They loaded us up pretty good with that stuff.
That sounds great.
But it was cool. It was all kind of summer preseason from there. So there were, I think, 8 interns that came in with me. And then they had 3 full-times, a physical therapist, and then 2 year-long interns. So it's a pretty big operation at that level. And, there was days when you rotate where you don't get to work with athletes, but then there's days you do. So building those relationships with those guys, people forget, like, pro athletes are one of us. Like, they're not superhumans. They're not, they want to sit down. And that was the coolest thing is I worked with tight ends. So Vernon Davis was there at the time. So I got really close with him, and it was like, he's like, "Stop asking me about me. Like, you can find that on Google. Like, tell me about you." And it's like, those are the moments you're like, dang, like, you see these guys on TV making millions and stuff like that. And they're down to earth, just normal human beings.
He could fly too for a tight end.
Yeah, he was not your typical tight end, I'll put it that way. But
so what year was that then?
It was 2014. So it was John Harbaugh's last year before he left for Michigan, I believe.
Okay.
Colin Kaepernick was there, Frank Gore, Vernon Davis, Anquan Bolden, Michael Crabtree. That was a squad. That was just offense. Yeah. And then, on the defensive side, it was who was over there? Eric Reed, and then that was Jimmy Ward's rookie year. So he's the only one still on the roster from that year.
That's wild.
Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis, like
legends.
Yeah, legends. Patrick
Alden
Willis,
Smith, like in his prime, before he kind of
Alden Smith.
Rails. Yeah. But yeah, they had some dudes on that team. So.
And how long did you say it last? Were you there the whole season?
It was just 8 weeks. I did kind of summer camp and then all 4 preseason games. And it was kind of unique. We played one game in Baltimore. And because of the both Harbaugh brothers, we stayed out there for a whole week. So they put us in a hotel and set up a training facility, like in their indoor facility. And we practiced with them for, I think, 4 or 5 days. Which was kind of cool to get to, explore Baltimore a little bit. We went to an Orioles game. We had some free time there. And we played a game against them and then flew home later that night.
Sounds fun.
It was a cool experience. It's unique to see how much on that level, here when we travel, we take 2 trunks, crutch bag and a big med kit. And there it's like just, trunk after trunk after trunk, just everything goes.
How many trainers travel on a game at a game?
Here or there?
There.
For the Niners. So they when they're regular season, they would travel, I think, 6.
Okay.
And all the staffs kind of vary. Some have more, some have a little less. They usually keep one of the interns behind to do like rehabs with injured guys, and then everybody else hits the road.
And is it do you have like position groups that you're responsible for? Is it a hierarchy where, you
Yeah, so when I was there, because we had so many, we did position groups. I think once they get going, it's kind of like you kind of do offense, you kind of do defense type of thing.
mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how they work. And then they went and played the St. Louis Rams before they moved to LA on a Monday night game. And that was only 2.5 hours from where I was at my senior year of college, right after the internship. So I drove over to St. Louis and they got me a hotel room and let me work the game with them that night.
They took care of you.
They took care of me, yeah. And then they did it again my first year in Arizona when they came down there to play the Cardinals. A couple of the people were still working there, and they hit me up like, "Hey, we know you're there, and I know you're busy, but if you're free, we'd love to have you." So jumped on over to Glendale and worked a game with them there too.
Wow. I know you have some questions. I can keep going all day.
No, I could too. What are some stories that you have either on a personal level or that you got to experience with Jim Harbaugh or any of those guys?
So Harbaugh wasn't around a whole lot. Just coaches were always out and about and meeting and doing all that kind of stuff. One of the funnier ones was when they would do walk towards the end of camp, because they start with, I think they bring 90 guys in and only 54, 52 make the roster. So that's a lot of people disappearing.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the camp, when they start doing walkthrough practices, they wanted a scout team and they didn't want to use their own guys or whatever. So they started pulling interns. So it's like equipment interns, athletic training interns, strength and conditioning interns. We were all like scout team just for like walkthrough stuff. And one day, one kid slips and about takes out one of the players, and Harbaugh about lost his mind. So next thing you know, we're all in cleats. So they put all of us in cleats for for a walkthrough practice because they didn't want any of the interns slipping and taking out a $10 million contract me.
Right.
So that was kind of entertaining. It's like walking around, doing my athletic training job, but wearing cleats in the time being.
Getting ready to put pads on next.
Yeah, I was ready. Yeah, and a few of the linemen, they'd mess with you. They'd actually like pop you in the chest a little bit and just kind of laugh. You're just like, ow. You don't realize how strong you are. But and then like a personal, when I worked the game in Arizona, and that was a year and a half post my internship. I got there early before the team just because I didn't know timing and everything logistically. And, Vernon Davis walks in and he was like, "Carter, what are you doing here?" I was like, "You remembered who I was?" You know what I mean? Like those are one of those moments you're kind of shocked. But they they're personable, and that was probably the best part of the experience.
Wow.
That sounds great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Which position did you play in football? You played at Millikan. You said your freshman year in college, and then you got injured. You were telling me before.
Yeah, so I went in as a linebacker, and then went to the first linebacker meeting, and there was like 30 kids in the room, and I was like, "What's going on here?" So I talked to the coaches and ended up moving down to the DN position, and just ate as much food as I could.
I was gonna say you seem a little light for that.
Well,
right now.
now I am. When I was there, I got up to like 270, 275.
Dang.
And at that point, it's work. Like you don't even enjoy eating anymore. And then the moment it was all done and just went the opposite direction. But linebacker is what I enjoyed, but at the time, it was kind of a how can I get on the field? And DN was that avenue.
Yeah, nice. So did you play in some games then your freshman year?
I did. So at that level too, they had a full JV schedule too. So that was nice to play. I mean, everybody got to play, then at the D3 level, it's not enrollment driven, but when there's a roster of 120, 130, it's good for the university. So we were able to do kind of almost a full JV schedule too. So everybody's able to play.
Yeah, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Niners, who was the most impressive to watch on the field, like up close and personal?
Honestly, like Alden Smith, like just for how big he was and how fast he could move.
Mm-hmm.
It was impressive, but just it's not like the quickness for me. It's not the size. It's like when they're that big and how fast they move.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I worked at Eastern Illinois with the football program there, and we had some guys there. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo was there when I was there.
Oh, really?
And they have, Kamu Grugier-Hill, who's now in the league. I think he plays for Arizona. So they've had some guys there, but you get there and like everybody's just they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. And just seeing how big they are and then knowing how quick they can move. It's just like that shouldn't be possible, but they're at that elite level and, playing at that level for a reason.
Yeah.
What's like I don't mean to go all negative here. What's like a unfortunate or story that you could tell us that would take us back or would be a little bit shocking, or you know what I mean?
The hardest part for me, and I don't know if it was just like not understanding it or what, knowing 90 people come in and only 54 make the team. What happens to everybody else,
Right.
And it's, we were working with the rookies and the undrafted free agents and those guys because they knew they weren't going to be around. And it's, you're taping somebody or whatever, you're doing rehab with them, whatever. And then the next day you're like, oh man, so-and-so didn't show up. You're like, oh yeah, he got cut yesterday. He's gone. And you're like, wait, like
Just
no
like
goodbye,
that.
not
Just
like
like that.
nothing.
Wow. Yeah.
So they, the guy that would cut people would walk around and they'd find whoever it was to cut. And I think they gave him 15, 20 minutes to get out of the building. It was like, here, leave your address here. Equipment staff will pack your locker and go.
So it's like the Grim Reaper. You
It
just
really
don't want
is.
this
That's
guy
what I was gonna
showing up.
say.
Yeah. So it's like the last like week or two. I mean, people are walking through the hallway, looking over their shoulders, trying to stay clear. But it's, you grab your personal belongings and you're gone. So most of those guys that I got to know really well, just poof, gone, never talked to them again.
Have you guys ever seen Hard Knocks?
I haven't. We don't have HBO, but I've heard
I watched
some
one
good
season,
things.
yeah.
Yeah, I use shout out Joe Jahala. I use his HBO account. But no, I watched it this year and it was just seeing what you're talking about, and it's just crazy that from the human element side, just to understand that just like that, it's like
Just bam.
they're cut.
Yeah,
Like
and
they're
it's
free agent now. It's like
those undrafted free agent guys, they get injured during camp. Like they have to literally not be able to walk to take them off the field because they're trying to prove themselves to get a contract. And then you got your older guys, and it's, well, I'm sore today. Okay, don't practice.
Yeah.
So that's like both sides of that. But it was just, I don't know if I just didn't comprehend how that happened and how quickly it's like, it's a business. Like, and that's, people forget, like it's playing sports. It's games, but like at that, it's a business at the same time.
That's cutthroat.
yeah.
And they I know they have the practice squads now. How does the practice squad work? Are they actually practicing or is it more just a holding place for
So the practice squads
people?
are more like scout team
Hmm.
than anything. Because I think, to get down to camp, you cut everybody to your 54, and everybody technically goes on waivers. And then from that point on, people can sign you to practice squads. And then there's a few extra, if you tear your ACL, they put you on injured reserve, so you're not cut.
Mhm.
Positions like that. But I think the practice squad, it's day in, day out. You're just running, you're studying the opponent and just mimicking them the best you can.
Giving them a
Just
look.
day in, day out. Yeah. That's where, Brock Purdy now, everyone, I've seen Fred Warner and Jimmy Ward and all those guys are like, oh, we're not worried. He's going to be fine. He's been playing against the best defense in the league for 13 weeks before he had to step up
Yeah.
with all the injuries.
He's looked pretty good so far.
So far, so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big one this Sunday.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. They're huge now. So were you a 49ers fan before going there, and are you a 49ers fan now?
More a Bears fan, just from growing up in Illinois. Always been, and it was huge Brian Urlacher fan, Lance Briggs, Peanut Tillman, those guys. And
Dang it, we missed it.
I missed it. And
Crickets.
yeah. And after that internship, I've been a Niners fan. It also helps knowing Jimmy G. From my college days. I worked football his senior year, and he was right next to me in the dorms my first year at Eastern. So I got to know him kind of pretty well through that too.
Yeah.
So once, I've always followed him, been a fan, and then at that point, Jimmy Ward's the only one still there. So it's like you don't know those guys, but then the moment they signed Garoppolo, it's like, oh, let's go. And then we lived in the Bay Area while they had some pretty good teams.
So you got out to some games then when you were living there?
We went to one preseason game. Ticket prices, man, expensive.
Yeah.
But
was that one at Candlestick or was it at
Levi's?
Levi's, the new one.
Yeah. So my internship year was the first year at Levi's.
Okay.
Was when they opened it up. which was kind of cool to kind of get to see how the inaugural stuff with that all went down and the issues they had with the grass and stuff. We had done some open practices. I think there was only 3 or 4 scheduled, and halfway through the first one, guys were slipping and sliding all over on the grass, and Harbaugh just like canceled practice, moved
Wow.
everybody to the practice facility, and they just the next day there's trucks in there resodding everything.
How long does it take them to get it fixed?
I think they had it up and running in a day or 2.
Wow.
It's wild. I mean, they bring in semis that just sod and just tear it all up and lay it all down.
And they just have a new field in a couple days.
It's wild, yeah. So it's but Levi Stadium, it's nice.
Yeah, I was at the very last game at Candlestick against the Texans.
That's something to behold.
Yeah.
Andre Johnson
Oh, yeah.
killed him.
Yeah.
The
was a
Niners
loss,
lost that
yeah.
game. Andre Johnson was a beast.
Yeah.
Wow. He was awesome.
I
on
had
Madden.
fairly good seats, and just like seeing him, like you were talking about, like as a wide receiver, like he looked like a linebacker.
He's a big receiver.
And he was running probably, 4 or 5 or so. You know what I mean? Like he's just one of those guys where he's a dude,
Yeah. Yeah, I watched him in 96 at Candlestick. But I think they changed the name, didn't they, right before the end? Didn't it have a new name, or was it always Candlestick?
It was Candlestick when I was there.
Yeah. Never
But
mind.
I know it's sort of a hot topic to debate as far as the field conditions, turf versus grass, and a lot of players have voiced their displeasure with playing on some bad surfaces. What are your thoughts on that?
I think at that level, with the amount of resources and the money they have, there's no reason to have grass all the time on every field. No matter what the playing condition is, like with their money and their resources, they can make it work. Where, the high schools, the college levels, it's harder to do that from a money resource standpoint. But I know the Players Association is pushing right now really hard to make it mandatory to have grass, I think, in all the stadiums.
So they do like the grass more.
Yeah, a little more giving
Yeah.
from an injury standpoint. I know the turf there in New York, everyone says it's cursed. I know the Niners started there. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
And they had,
Bosa tore his ACL.
Bosa tore his ACL, and then one of the DBs tore his ACL, and then
Brett, was that the game?
Brett, that's
Yeah,
who it was.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, there was one this year, one of the Giants receivers was just like running a route and just planted, not even like twisted, and just boom.
Shepard, right? Sterling Shepard.
That's who it was. Yeah. So I know the Players Association is pushing hard right now to move towards grass.
So you're saying there's no reason not to have grass everywhere?
I think so at the NFL level.
Yeah.
Why don't they then? Like, what's the holdup?
I don't know if it's just a convenience thing or what it is. Those teams have money. They can pay people to,
It's like you said, the 49ers got a field in a day. It's like, why can't?
Yeah, like there's no reason they can't be doing that. So I think it's something that we're going to see in the next year or 2.
Well, even that monsoon that they got last weekend, and it was like when kickoff happened, it seemed like the field was fine, right?
Well,
so
they covered it.
They had tarped it, I think before it, but
that's kind of what you're saying, though, right?
Yeah.
They can cover it until right before kickoff and be able to manage the grass.
Yeah, if Green Bay can do it, Chicago can do it when it's frozen.
Yeah,
and you're getting all the rain and stuff. They can make it work.
Well, and I'm pretty sure stadiums are pretty technologically savvy where like they have like those crazy surfaces underneath where they can like heat it or control the temperature of the field a little bit, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
But it's crazy just to hear like something like that you don't think about, like having such a big impact. Like I was listening to Sunday Night Football a week or 2 ago, and Jason Garrett was talking about how the Cowboys seem to play like faster at home on turf than they do on grass.
Yeah.
Where it's like, as a fan, you just don't even think about that at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I saw before this last weekend, they were some sort of stats where like on grass, they were like 1-4.
Yeah.
Turf, they were, had a way better record. And it's like, I don't know, stuff people don't even think about. But at that level, they're taking everything into consideration when they're, training and getting these athletes ready.
But you said that the grass is sort of like a better surface just on their ligaments and like just more giving. So why do you think that is, at least in their case, that they would, play better and, fly around maybe a little more on turf.
I mean, people claim, you feel slower on grass. I don't, is it because the grass is higher, I mean, but in this day and age, they can make grass look like turf. I mean, you look at a golf tournament, for instance, like that stuff looks fake half the time. They can make it to where it's smoother. And are they really slower? Do they just, is it psychological? You don't,
Right.
That's half the battle with athletes.
At that level too, when everything's measured in milliseconds.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So what have your thoughts been on Jimmy G and kind of what he's gone through the last few years? You said you knew him personally. Has it been hard to see the injuries and being on the trade block and all that stuff?
He's been through a roller coaster. He had the ACL year when he just didn't go out of bounds. I wasn't sure about that one. Tried cutting it up or whatever. And then,
what are you doing, Jim?
Forgot about that.
You're not a runner. And then then he came back, and then they went to the Super Bowl, and he's kind of been battling injuries and the trade block this year. I mean, when you trade up to number 2 overall, like to get a quarterback, like that's your guy. You're gonna go with it, and I think Trey Lance is gonna be really good. I do. I think this year it was personally, I thought Jimmy should have started this year. I think Trey Lance still needed a little more development. I mean, throwing the ball, but he's an explosive player. And now with Brock Purdy playing well,
what do you do if you're a 49ers
they talked about,
fan?
Both sides are interested in Garoppolo returning in a backup role, but it's like, are you going to pay how many millions of dollars for a backup when you have Brock Purdy on a rookie contract still?
And Trey Lance.
Like Trey Lance is going to be your starter day one next year.
Even if Purdy continues to play well, you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Regardless, just at least for a year or so till he can prove himself or what he does. But
yeah, I mean, I honestly have no clue. Like, I could see it going both ways.
Yeah.
Like, if we try to get something out of Trey Lance and trade him for less value or as much as we can get, or place Purdy right behind him, I could see it going both ways.
He does. He opens up the offense a lot. I mean, being able to run, but then you see all these quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, like Cam Newton in his prime. You get a year or two out of him, and then it's like, at what point do the injuries start adding up when you're taking hits by the big guys all the time?
Well, and Purdy's sneaky athletic. Like, he can scramble a little bit. I mean, he's not as elusive as those guys, but he keeps plays alive, and you know what I mean? Like, he's sort of one of those guys like Mahomes almost. Obviously not to that level, but he's more athletic than you give him credit for.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I don't think Garoppolo stays in San Francisco just from a cap space and a money standpoint. If you're the Niners, knowing you have Brock Purdy on his rookie contract for another probably 2 years, I would assume, maybe 3. I don't know how long they signed him for.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's the last pick in the draft. I don't know how those
probably not
contracts
too long of a contract either.
Yeah.
But that'd be my guess is he'll sign somewhere. I mean, he played well enough this year to someone's going to be interested in him again. And he played that well when he got traded to San Francisco. He had 6 games. I think he went 6-0.
Yeah,
looked well, and then signed a
massive contract,
6-year, $25 million a year contract.
Yeah,
and it's again, he's in a rookie year or a contract year again, and he looked well while he was out there.
Yeah, I don't think that we'd be in this position if we didn't have Jimmy G. Because I think Purdy needed those 13 weeks or whatever to get ready, and Jimmy played well when he came in.
Because the Niners were 3-4 at one point.
Yeah,
and it's like you're looking at it, you're like, okay, where's this season? We're gonna be the LA Rams,
right.
You know what I mean? Or how are they gonna play that out?
Yeah,
that win streak we had was pretty crazy.
They're still rolling. It was at 11, 12 now.
Yeah.
But,
plus, I mean, we still got to sign Nick Bosa to a new deal and Fred Warner. So we're gonna need all the money we can.
They're gonna need the money. That's what I think, and I think it'd be better off for Jimmy find somewhere else where he can jump in and contribute right away.
Yeah.
As a Bears fan, what are you guys doing with the number 1 pick?
I would trade it.
Yeah,
I would trade it, stock up, and then let somebody in that 7 to 10 range ish or somewhere around there that needs a quarterback give you an extra 3 or 4 picks, cap and whatever it may be. Because I don't think they're going to take a quarterback anyways, and you're going to be able to get, I would think, who you want. I don't know. I haven't followed the draft class too closely.
I
So
know
are you,
there's
are,
that
you- are you all
quarterbacks.
in on Fields then?
I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah.
I mean, their offensive line, I think, is where they've struggled this year. Because he's going to run the ball and get hit, but it's minimizing those hits when he's in the pocket.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he throws a good ball though too. It's not like he's strictly a runner. You
Yeah,
know?
and they started the season. I mean, they had games where he only threw the ball like 12, 15 times, and then they
Mm-hmm.
finally opened it up for him. So I think that'll be good. And my question here, let's see if you guys, I don't know the answer. Say the Niners win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Has there ever been a season where the team that got the number 1 draft pick beat the Super Bowl champs? Bears beat the Niners week 1.
Yeah, in the monsoon.
Yeah, that's a really good
I was thinking about that
question.
the other day,
Yeah.
like, it's like when the Bears got the number 1 pick, I was like, the Niners going to run here. It's like, have you ever seen where a team that was worse than the league beat the team that was best in the league?
God, we need a statistician on.
I know,
Yeah,
someone's gotta
where
look
is
that
our
up.
stat
Yeah, someone's
guy
gotta
or
look that
girl?
up. But
I doubt it. But there's
that's
been a lot
what
of
yeah.
seasons.
That'd be
That-
a cool stat for the Bears.
I mean, that game was it wasn't much of. I mean, it was
The game was
a monster.
absurd.
Yeah, it wasn't really a real football game. I mean, it
I mean,
was.
it definitely
was.
was.
It
I mean,
counts, but-
Fields played really well. I mean, he sort of torched the defense a little bit.
Yeah, just slipping and sliding everywhere.
Yeah, he threw the deep ball when it was still a decent field, and then they got the lead, and then it was just like
Yeah.
all hell broke loose.
I swear the 49ers play in one of those games every year.
Yeah.
Like at Baltimore the year before,
Uh-huh.
like we were literally there to tackle Lamar, and then more rain would come down. We'd fall.
Yeah.
He's still really fast, and then
Yeah.
it's just like we lose that one. But it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And having the 3 quarterbacks, is that what you're talking about? The good problem to have?
Just having a good team and being able to complain about one loss here and there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So how are you feeling about this weekend against the Cowboys?
I think it'd be a good one. I mean, arguably 2 of the better defenses in the league. We'll see. I don't know, but I mean, it'd be nice, to see the Niners come out on top. I don't know. Leave it up to a field goal at this rate. The way the Cowboys were kicking
extra
last
points.
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you keep missing those. Those will add up in a close game. But Cowboys are playing well. They played well last week. I mean, all the games were close except for the Niners and the Cowboys. So
Yeah.
hoping it sets up for a good game Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. I think the 49ers are the better team, but it's scary.
Mhm.
Playoffs.
One play. I mean, that Baltimore was it Cincinnati game
Mm-hmm.
looked like Baltimore was going to pull it off, and then
Mhm.
99-yard fumble recovery touchdown. Then next, that's the final.
Yeah.
So it's just one play.
Yeah. Playoffs are fun though.
Mhm.
They're really fun to watch.
So you sort of have a good understanding of the conference on the basketball side, just because you've been here longer than TJ and I have.
Mhm.
I guess starting on the women's side, looking up forward to this weekend. What are your thoughts on Eastern? I know they're one of the top teams, and C of I is solid too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what sport. We don't like Eastern.
Yeah.
You
Good.
can,
Hell
you can
yeah.
go across the board: football, wrestling, softball, basketball, whatever it may be. No, Eastern. They're a good offensive team. Our women's team is number 2 in the country defensively right now for points per game. So it
Wow.
kind of
Yeah.
sets up for a matchup of what's going to give a little bit. They got the best of them at their place. They hit some shots and kind of caught fire a little bit at one point, and but it comes down to what's going to give. And I think it's going to be a packed house tonight. Football was told mandatory to be there.
Oh, they
So,
were.
yeah,
Let's
all
go.
all weekend. Football's going to show up and show out. There should be a lot of them, and I think I've seen a lot on social media across the board through campus of people promoting this weekend. Friday night with the women having the big ranked matchup, and
Huge game.
then everyone wants to see the number 1 team in the country go down.
Yeah.
So on the men's side, but
Yeah.
College Idaho, even on the women's side, they're not a bad team.
Yeah.
They're in a little slump, but you can't stay in slumps forever when you're decent. So
Yeah.
gotta be ready. And there's no nights off really in this conference. Even there's
No.
a couple teams, down at the bottom end, but they'll still keep you in a game if you don't show up.
They can be scary. Yeah. Over there at
Yeah.
Walla Walla, that was scary for a
Yeah.
couple quarters, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. That's I mean, they slip up on you every now and then, and they'll get you. But you gotta show up and be ready to play every Friday, every Saturday. It's a grind of a conference with the travel, and
Yeah.
when you're one of the Portland schools or LeGrand, you're kind of in the middle of everything. But being all the way down here in the most southern side, there's no easy travel.
Yeah.
But I think the toughest part of the travel for the women's team is completed. The Eastern C of I trip and Walla Walla LC are the rough
Mhm.
ones.
Mhm.
Knock those out of the way, and then you look at the standings on both sides, right? The top two teams in the conference for the men's side still have to come here. The top two teams on the women's side of the conference still have to come here. So you're getting a lot of those top teams at home now, knocked out the tough road trips with travel and quality of opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the
Should be
schedule
fun.
sets up pretty favorably for both of us. I mean, like you said, I mean, this weekend is number 2 tonight for us, number 1 tomorrow, and then OIT at home on Tuesday, who's always going to be tough to beat.
Yeah.
In the Portland schools. So, I mean, you think that it sets up nicely, but like you said, you still got to go out and play the games.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's yeah, this weekend I mean, I don't you want to say big weekend, but it's more of a you don't want to make it too big of a deal. It's just another
Right.
game, right?
Right.
It's another opportunity to show people how good you are
Yeah.
and turn some heads while you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to be ready, but you don't want to be too tight going into the
Exactly.
game. It's been nice having such a good women's program, with us. We feel like we're a pretty solid program, but to have two together, the games are fun to watch. And they, like you said, the D, they play so well on D and on both ends, but their D is just really intense and tough and consistent. It's there every week. So it's fun. It's easier to get ready for me personally, I think, for the program to get ready for our game when the women are out there in a dogfight every night, and doing their thing. So
yeah, it's fun watching, the first half, especially when we're on the road. First half, you got the men's team chirping and they're getting into it a little bit, cheering and whatever they need to. And then the second half rolls around like a wall of wall. There was like, I don't know, 20 fans, Friday afternoon game.
Yeah.
And then it's just like quiet the whole second half after that. But both teams right now, they know they're exciting to watch play. And it's good for the fans and people in the area, want to come watch basketball. You get two good games.
Yeah.
You know that it's not one good team, one bad team, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Well, you got the score changed at Walla Walla.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. That's keep an eye on that stuff. Well, I went to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
And as we were sitting there, it was like they just dropped a point off the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Like, what are they doing? And at that point, it was like one of those games. It was a dogfight.
We better get this point.
I need that point back. So they figured it out.
It was so quiet in the gym. We just kept chirping. Everyone could hear what we were saying.
They did that in our game too. Will Graves made a 3, and then they called a foul, and they didn't give us the 3, and we didn't even realize it till after the game.
Oh, geez,
did they? Someone said something during the game, and we were all kind of like, "Oh,
yeah." Will was like, "Oh, they didn't give me my points," and I was like, "Shut up, Will." I look back on the tape after they didn't give us our points.
They really didn't give it. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank God it didn't matter. But
yeah, keep an eye on that stuff.
So,
well, I know you have some places to be, so we need to wrap up fairly quickly. Do you have any advice, wise words, or anything you want to share, or any hot takes you want to leave us with?
Hot take in my house. In-N-Out's overrated.
Oh.
And Chick-fil-A.
And Chick-fil-A.
Oh, both of them?
Yes.
Whoa.
That's over the line.
See?
Whoa. I do like In-N-Out, but I could jump on the overrated too, because I just like burgers. I don't necessarily think they're better than anywhere else. But I can go to Chick-fil-A pretty much every day.
See, my go-to where I kind of poke the bear is like Sunday morning, get up like, oh, you know what? Let's go to Chick-fil-A. Like driving around running errands on Sunday. I'm like, let's just go to Chick-fil-A on the way home. It'll be nice and easy. And usually get like a backhand or something. But yeah, that's my go-to to mess with her. So
she likes both of those.
She likes both of them.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah.
So do you actually believe that in your heart of hearts, or are you more just like poking the bear?
With
either both.
I'm not a huge fan of In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, the sauces are good. I'll give them that. But
everything else
is just all right.
I don't know. I think In-N-Out's quality is pretty good for being a fast food chain, but I don't know. I do agree that it's a little bland and
Yeah.
a little overrated. Do you have like a chain that you appreciate and like?
Ooh.
Chipotle? You seem like a Chipotle kind
I
of
like
guy.
Chipotle. Yeah. They don't have them here. But what Cafe Rio? I don't know if you guys ever been to those.
Yeah.
Those are pretty good.
I've never. Where's Cafe Rio? I'm not
It's
picturing it.
more of I don't know. They had one in Tempe right next to our facility that we would go to a lot. And then I like Raising Cane's.
Yeah.
Chicken
I'm a
chicken
fan.
bacon.
Yeah. Yep.
We've been there a couple times on the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean around here, I mean Chipotle, we'll do a Five Guys if we're feeling like a burger or something like that. But I'm a cook. I like to cook, so we do a lot at home.
What are the top couple meals that you chef up?
Ooh, well, tacos are once a week. That's just a given.
I love homemade
You
tacos.
can't not do tacos.
Yeah.
What do we do? We did some chicken bacon wraps this week. I like to get the grill going.
Yeah.
Tri-tip. I've got the tri-tip mastered down.
Wow. Do you have a smoker?
Yeah, we've got the little 3-in-1 deal. Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, heck
People
yeah.
right after COVID were just never used it. Thought they would.
Yeah.
Got a good deal on it. So, the tri-tip fajitas are that's kind of my go-to right now.
That sounds
dangerous.
Good. How do we get in on this? We need to throw a party at the.
I know. Yeah. Postseason party. There you
we'll supply the food if you could.
There we go. I like that.
So with the tacos, is it corn tortillas or flour tortillas?
Ooh. Mostly we do flour. Not against corn. I like corn tortillas as well.
I grew up on flour, and so I was always like, I never liked corn, and my wife grew up on corn, and so she does the corn, and now I'm 100% corn.
Yeah,
she converted me.
I don't ever remember having corn tortillas growing up.
Yeah,
it was just always, I feel like it was always flour tortillas.
Yeah, same.
What else do you put in there? Anything? Pico?
Yeah, well,
or something?
I'll throw some peppers in there, some cilantro, jalapenos, hot sauce.
Are you a big cheese and
that,
tacos guy? Or
cheese,
no?
Yeah, throw some cheese in there.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not a cheese and tacos kind of guy. Yeah.
No, yeah, I throw cheese in there.
I can go both ways. I don't need it, but I like it.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
What about Ashland? Any places that you've caught your attention?
What's the spot there down by the river? I always forget the name of it. It's got all the outdoor seating.
Scout?
Not Scout. Scout's good. I like Scout. It's a couple down from Scout, and it's got all the seats right there along the backside. Louis, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Louis isn't bad. Yeah,
Louis
is a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
I did when we've
went
talked
there.
about this before. We took a recruit there. I like my food. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was good.
It's good ambiance.
You can't go wrong with El Pri. So
yeah, that's solid.
They support the school, and it's a good, not bad little Mexican food.
I like it. Yeah.
So
yeah, the one time we went there with the recruit, it was during the one football game where it was just torrential downfall. Like they had to like pause the game or.
Oh yeah, that was my call. Yeah, I'm when we have lightning delays, and what's crazy. So my very first game on the job here. So I started in October mid-season last year. So I jump in, very first home game. We're a little bit of lightning before, pause and warm up, shorten warm ups for both teams for health and safety. Get out there, game starting, no issues. Weather looks fairly clear. Officials are all meeting at midfield. We're lined up for kickoff. C of I's lined up for kick return. Boom, I look down at my watch, lightning 3 miles away. And I'm like, oh, here we go. So I have to run out on the field, grab the officials as they're all trying to disperse for opening kickoff for delay. And it ended up being like an hour and a half delay.
Man.
Very first game on the job.
Wow.
So then our next home game the following year, this season, that I'm working at C of I. And we're in the middle of the third quarter. I look down and it's like, boom, lightning 4 miles away. So I got to go grab the official, tell him and it's like, something about playing C of I at home. I'm 2 for 2 with lightning delays.
Yeah.
Jeez.
God wants to stretch those games out.
It makes for a long day, and then you got then it rains, and
no one likes a lightning delay, and you have to be the bearer of bad news.
I know. Yeah, it's always my fault.
No, but I think people are pretty understanding, right? We don't need kids out here in metal helmets running around in the lightning storm.
You got to keep tracking, and then everybody wants to know when you can start warm-ups, and it's got to be 30 minutes. So then you get to like 25 and you're like, okay, players are starting to get ready. And it's like, boom, another one. Okay, reset the clock, 30 minutes. And it's like just a drag. And it's tough for the athletes, the coaches, and everybody to sit around not knowing when they get to go back out there. Because when we did this year, I mean, it was boom kickoff, and we're mid third quarter. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because we were coming back to the game, and then we didn't go to the game.
Yeah, they were like, nope, not anymore.
yeah,
yeah. Well, I know we got to get you on the road. You have to take care of Karsten. Thanks for joining us. It was awesome to talk to you. It was
yeah,
really
absolutely. It
enjoyable.
was fun being here.
Quick shout out to Northwest Pizza and Pasta right up the road on Siskiyou. Pizza, wings, everything, salads. They have a lot of different entrees. Go check them out. Morgan and the crew. Thanks for the support and the sponsor. And we'll see you again soon. Bye, y'all.